What's up, sports fans? My name is Lucas Weese, host of the Weesesports Chronicles podcast. We got a great episode for you today. It is the Super Bowl 55 preview edition of the podcast. And who better than to bring on than the Weese Sports Intern himself, Will Stanton, to break down this game, this matchup between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, as well as his favorite Super Bowl memories, including the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. So, a star-studded episode, lots to talk about. You're not going to want to miss it. Of course, the Weese Sports Chronicles podcast is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure to like, rate, watch, and subscribe to all three of those channels. Now, without further ado, let's get to the Super Bowl 55 preview show with the Weese Sports Intern on the Weese Sports Chronicles podcast. All right, as I said off the top, it's not every day that an intern is on the guest. You know, I've had sports writers, broadcasters, social media managers, but here in the flesh is the Weese Sports Intern himself, Will Stanton. Will, welcome to the Weese Sports Chronicles pod, man. How you doing?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me. Brought out the big guns for this one, eh?
Oh, you know it, man. You know it. Well, hey, listen, I just had a two-time Super Bowl champ on Dedrick Dodge. Make sure to check that out on the pod. I had, a reporter from Kansas City, shout out Aaron Ladd. He was fantastic talking about Patrick Mahomes. But, people who follow us know that, we've been predicting these playoff games for years now. So why not bring the guy, the man, the myth, the legend on the show himself?
There we go. Well, I'm glad we brought it on this year, not last year. We're doing a little bit better with our predictions.
Well, listen. I mean, for the listeners that don't know, we started out pretty well. Like, I think I was like 2 for 4. You might have been like 1 for 4. So, like, not bad. I literally didn't get a pick right, I think, the rest of the playoffs. The rest of...
Two.
Like, it was 1 or 2 maybe. So, it was just like... It was just a real train wreck. But doing a lot better this year. Will and I are both tied in our picks. Will, of course, had the Chiefs over the Bills in the AFC Championship. We both picked the Bucs in the NFC, so that allowed him to move into the tie. I would like to say that the Chiefs and Bucs was my mid-season Super Bowl prediction, because I just felt like I just felt it, man. Like Tony Romo, he even predicted it when the Bucs and the Chiefs met earlier this season, that like it was going to be destined for a Brady Mahomes. And what do you know, Will? We have Brady. We have Mahomes.
I had the Seahawks, so that's not making me like right there. Couldn't get past Jared Goff with one thumb.
Well, geez, and look, Jared Goff's now a Detroit Lion. I mean, things can change like that in the NFL, Will.
There we go. 2020 changes on a dime.
Yeah, you got.
Fun though. It might come down to the wire, because we already know, like, Chiefs are my pick. I picked them the day after the conference championship, so we'll have to see if maybe you want to make it interesting or go with the underdog, or
we'll save the picks to the end. Classic Will, of course, spoiling the surprise already for the listeners. But maybe after some conversations, Will may have more to say about that pick, or he may change it. Who knows? But
you're not in.
But no, by the end of this show, we are gonna lock in our picks. We can't change, and we'll go with that. But well, I want to start with, because we'll talk about the game in a bit. Obviously, lots to talk about, Brady Mahomes. But Super Bowl memories. What was the first Super Bowl that you remember? Because I think I go back a few more years in terms of remembering this big game. But what's your first Super Bowl memory?
Yeah, well, I think the first Super Bowl I ever watched was the 19-0 Patriots heading off to face the Giants. Personally, I didn't have any real family members or anything who watched football, so it was kind of me just turning the game on just from hearing about it and thinking that this Tom Brady was walking out. It was going to be what I think would have been the first 20-0 team. I think the Dolphins went undefeated, but I think they were only 17-0. They had a short season back then. So I remember, the Patriots walked out. I thought there's no chance this team's going to lose. I wanted to be a part of history. And, obviously the Giants pull out the crazy upset in that game. One of 2 it ended up turning out. But, Yeah, no, I have very fond memories of watching that. It got me into it. And then, yeah, that was probably the first Super Bowl I've ever watched. And yeah, no, it was a really fun game. How about yourself?
Well, it's funny because I do remember that game. I did pick the Patriots for that game, and boy, was I wrong, because I remember watching, just seeing like, gee, OCU Manura, Michael Strahan, like putting together just a masterclass defensive performance, and then that David and Tyree helmet catch still gives like Rodney Harrison nightmares. Like, imagine like trying to come down with that guy on you who had never caught. I think that was like his first catch of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. So like, this is insane. Like, when you think about it.
What do you do? How do you defend the helmet catch?
Like, it's crazy. And then no, but the crazy thing even about that play is how Eli like got out, because he was like getting tugged, and like just like took like just a prayer. Like, it was essentially a prayer. Like, it was a prayer throw. And then the rest is history. And then it's funny that in that second Super Bowl a few years later, Mario Manningham comes up with like another amazing sideline catch, which is just crazy. So, but to answer your question, I actually remember the Bucs in the Super Bowl when they faced against Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, Derek Brooks, who's now the head of the Super Bowl 55 host committee, by the way, fun fact. They had Brad Johnson as their quarterback, Brad Johnson. And they were able to pull it out against, of course, and of course, John Gruden went from the Raiders over to the Bucs, and of course, the big story from that is like he basically knew what Rich Gannon was going to do. Like, he knew the pump fakes and all that stuff. So it wasn't the most memorable game, but it was funny that Dexter Jackson is the Super Bowl MVP. Most people don't really remember that, but he just went off that game, and that's the first one I remember. And Will, I've had the pleasure of watching the rest of them since. It's always a great tradition and a real staple on the sporting calendar.
A Weese Sports tradition.
Oh yeah, a Weese Sports tradition unlike any other. Super Bowl Sunday. You know, it really is. It's always great. But you know, it's funny, Will, because of course, your heart's with Seattle. My heart's with Carolina. You know, I'll always have a soft spot for that team. But we're both similar in that we've both experienced Super Bowl loss. We're not going to get to that quite yet, but Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought we were going to just skip past that part.
Oh, you know, we got to bring it up, man. We got to, you know, this is like a therapy session for the both of us here. You know, trying to get, you know, we're so.
I lie down on the couch side.
Yeah, you know it, man. You know it, But your team, though, did experience victory. And it was the Legion of Boom. It was an incredible run. Maybe just describe what that was like as a fan. Because I remember, like, that day after, of course, for the listeners who know, Will and I went to the same high school. But I just remember, like, that day and just, like, how happy you were.
Yeah, no, I was ecstatic. So at that point, I had been a Seahawks fan. Call it not for a crazy amount of time, but for 4 years, and I really was getting into it really hard. And then, it was the game against the Denver Broncos, and I'll remember it. The very first snap, safety over snap to Peyton Manning, and honestly, the team did not look back from then. It was a pleasure to watch that team. I don't think I'll ever see anything like it. Obviously a bit biased, and there is some competition, but it's what I say is the best defense of all time. There's obviously some others in there, like the Ravens. I come top of mind, but if not one of the best defenses of all time, it was one of the rare seasons where, as a fan of the team, I actually preferred watching the defense go out on the field, which I don't think a lot of fans could say. Normally, you want to see your team go out there, the offense score points. See the quarterback toss it up a few times, but it was fun to watch that defense. We had Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Cam Chancellor. That's 7 of 11 starters who are elite players, and it was fun to watch. They could all make amazing plays. And don't forget, number 8, Malcolm Smith, Super Bowl MVP.
Yes.
I think we were talking before about some unknown Super Bowl MVP, so that's him right there. But, it was a very fun game. It was a bit of a shellacking, of course, as most people remember. So if maybe if you weren't a Seahawks game, you didn't enjoy the game as much as I did. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at a photo on your Instagram, and it's of you and our good pal Josh Dater. Shout out to Josh Dater, who's now in the wine business. I mean, couldn't have predicted that in high school. But besides the point. You got the number one. It was back when you never smiled in photos, but that's besides the point too. But it was a phase. It was a phase. But I think you still have that 12th man flag though. I think you do. Right on.
It is in the apartment right now. I don't think it'd be the best for me to leave and go get it. It's also nailed up the wall. But it's still flying. It is still flying. And who knows? Maybe I might need to bring it out for the next Super Bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, wait. Well, we'll get to another number 12 in just a bit. But I mean, that run was just like, look, you mentioned, in that game, I mean, I remember Percy Harvin, right when you're still in the lead. And then he just goes with that kickoff return for the touchdown, just like putting the real nail in the coffin. But I think it was that game 2 weeks before against San Francisco. I think that was almost like the Super Bowl, if you will, because those two teams were going at it all year long. And then, of course, it ends with that amazing Richard Sherman interception, the Michael Crabtree, the epic post-game interview with Aaron Andrews and Richard.
The greatest post-game speech of all time.
I think so, Will. I mean, honestly, now they do post-game speeches and they're like, like one person's on the field and one person's in the stands. But back when you could do that, that was just phenomenal. And people, unreal quote by Richard, but an even better job from Aaron Andrews by just not the long question, just what's he talking about you? And just just let him go off.
He had the momentum going. The energy was palpable. I could feel through the TV. If you weren't a Seahawks fan watching that, you might have been a little what's kind of going on? But I was right there with them. I remember sitting watching that game, jacked up, comes the last play. Kaepernick throws the huge deep ball up to Crabtree. Obviously, Sherman tips it out to Malcolm Smith. I was fired up. I was jumping around the living room. And then just to hear Richard Sherman felt the same energy as I did, obviously way higher because he's playing in the game. But, it was, honestly, as a fan, you almost feel a little connection there when the energy is so high. He cares. Obviously, when it comes this late in the playoffs, it's less of a worry. But you sometimes do think, okay, maybe there are some guys who are maybe playing for the money and it's their right to. It's their job. It's their application. But it's fun to see when a player comes out with so much energy, so much passion. They truly care about winning, and you can really feel it. And as a fan, it's really tough to beat that.
So, Will, a year later, you went from that highest of highs to the lowest of lows. I had that same feeling a year after that when my Carolina Panthers made it to the Super Bowl. But, boy, I still think that Seahawks fans still think about it. The 1 yard line. And I've had someone on this very podcast, Will, who's very close to the team. Shout out Jason Jenks, senior writer of The Athletic, Seattle. And he said that after that game, the Malcolm Butler game, it never was the same for that Seahawks team. And this was a Seahawks team that was about to be anointed dynasty level status, dare I say.
Yeah. No, and I recently read a quote by, I believe it was from Cam Chancellor, saying something very similar. It must have been a week or two ago. And it was at that moment it all fell apart. That team, they fought together, literally. The amount of torn, I don't even want to get into the injuries that they were fighting through to get into that Super Bowl versus the Patriots. But they were brothers. They were fighting together. They wanted to win together. And the identity of the offense was a grounded pound offense with Russell Wilson throwing off tempo deep, and they just got away from it, obviously. And I think the team at that point, it was an identity crisis after that game. It's easy as a fan to say, "Oh, there's always next year," but when you're a player, it's
no.
Yeah.
There isn't always next year. I mean, because look at the history of teams that are in the Super Bowl that lose. They very rarely get back to to that level. And like, I just think that like, I think that, you know, I remember because it was in the same stadium as, fun fact, that Giants-Patriots Super Bowl. And if the Seahawks win that game, that Jermaine Kearse catch is one of the most memorable catches of all time. No doubt.
On the ground, juggling it. Yeah, it was crazy.
You're still not over it, I don't think, even 6 years later.
Yeah. I don't think any of us are Seahawks players, fans, anyone. I know Pete Carroll, one of the most positive coaches in the league. He claims to be over it. I don't buy it. But yeah, and I will also segue, maybe a bit of a deflection on my part, but that's all right, to the conference championship game of that year as well. Versus the Green Bay Packers. We were speaking before against the game against the 49ers, which for me, I would say would have been my second favorite game, but my favorite game ever was that game against Green Bay, where I don't even know how many points behind we were in that fourth quarter. But the John Ryan fake punt for the touchdown.
The onside kick.
Onside kick. A huge run by Marshawn.
Were you at that game, Will? Were you at that game?
Sorry?
Were you at that game?
No. I wish. I wish. Yeah. I believe that was in Seattle. I don't know.
It was pouring rain.
Came back.
Pouring rain that day.
Today. Yeah, but that was actually probably my favorite game I've ever watched. You may be thinking about the Super Bowl, but as we both know, I feel like we got to an early cushion, and the cushion was never really threatened. So, those two conference championship games, 49ers and Green Bay, were some of the best. And, obviously a little disappointing, the result after the Green Bay game. But you know what? We had some good memories. And I don't know. Life is a balance, right? You got to get the highs and the lows.
Oh, you know it will. And it's funny. So my Carolina Panthers, as you know, we made the Super Bowl back in 2004. And I was young back then, younger than I am now. And that I found to be a little bit more of a disappointing loss, because it was like, okay, you're facing against the Patriots. It's like this underdog team. Jake Delhomme could be a Super Bowl winner, for crying out loud. And then they just come, to one field goal short. I mean, Adam Vinatieri, once again, Captain Clutch field goal kicker of all time. We, of course, have that epic Super Bowl run in 2016. One of my favorite memories was Cam Newton stealing a little 12 flag in Seattle. Sorry there, bud, but that was just like you talk about the highs and the lows. We had the highest of highs to start, and then it was like a whole new game. Tale of Two Cities. Charles Dickens, right in that game, exemplified. And then we get to the Super Bowl, of course. Just a complete shellacking of Bruce Arians' Arizona Cardinals, and I just felt from the second quarter, and even after halftime, we weren't going to win that game against Denver. Like, it just felt like the way Von Miller was playing, he was Von Miller. And it just, like, if you watch enough football, you just get that sense. I mean, I was at Super Bowl 53. You could see the hat, you could see the pennant. And that was, a real snoozer of a game. But I just never felt like the Rams had a chance. I mean, even though they were close, I just never felt like the Rams had a chance. I sort of felt that way with the Panthers against the Broncos. Like, we did have a chance, and we did have this great offense led by the MVP of that year, Cam Newton. But, we just ran up against a real, you talk about historic defense. I mean, that also was a very historic defense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that was an interesting year, too, because I believe Peyton Manning was injured, and I think Brock
Osweiler.
Yeah, I think he started a few games that year. It was a bit wild. It was Peyton's final year, and he said, I'm coming back for the playoffs. I'm going for one last run. And obviously, it's easy for me to say sitting on the couch watching it. But that was not the peak of Peyton Manning's career. Like,
no.
The perfect time to retire. But it was that defense was a scary matchup to go against. I'd say Von Miller in his prime, not to say anything against him now. It's still an amazing edge rusher there. But, yeah. No, that was a scary defense to go up against, and they really proved it in that Super Bowl.
So, Will, here's where we differ, you and I. I've been to a Super Bowl. I've covered one. You haven't. So I'm just curious, like, if you get that opportunity, which you will. I mean, one day I'll have those, those ticket connections, and we'll fly you down there. The Weese Sports brand will the intern will join the boss. I mean, that
There you go.
What do you expect from, like, what do you expect, like what would be, like, your dream, like, I don't know, celebrity to meet, party, like what would be, like, your ultimate, like, Super Bowl experience if you were to get to go to one?
Okay. The cop-out answer would obviously be the Seahawks playing in it, so I won't go with that one.
Okay.
I think what would be the best possible one? I think it would be the post-game celebration.
Yeah?
I think obviously the night after the Super Bowl would be a late night. And I think if you were to go to a venue where you could see some players, potentially star players of the winning team there, I think that would be an amazing time. I think the energy would be palpable. I think they would be buzzing. Obviously, like you hear about Tom Brady and his workout regimen and his diet, and you just got to think all these guys are doing the exact same thing, but they're letting it go. That
yeah.
Once you get the celebration, it is a big release for the players. So I think even to be part of that, even as a fan, as an intern, as someone just there to enjoy it with them, I think that would be fun. And not to mention, too, just the backstage passes to the pre-Super Bowl, the build-up, kind of getting the atmosphere. It's like, okay, kind of, are these players, is one team more confident than the other going in? Is one team maybe more focused? Kind of feeling the vibes heading in would be interesting going in as well. What about you? Maybe you'd want to elaborate a little bit more on your experience.
Yeah, well, great segue there, Will. I mean, this is why I bring you on the pod, man. Like, you just, fall right into my lap, like, just like, incredible. So, yeah, I mean, it was, Atlanta's a great city. I mean, I know you've been there to see some games, and certainly, I'm so glad. I mean, little did I realize that 2 years later we'd be in a global pandemic. Did not cross my mind. But yeah, really, I'm not that great of a predictor, Will. I'm not great of a predictor. But no, it was just a great celebration. I mean, like, there's obviously like a fan village wherever city hosts it, and it's not just the fans of the two teams. Like, I met Seattle Seahawks fans when I was there. I met Minnesota Vikings fans that flew in. So it just had that real celebration vibe to it. That I think it makes this event really special. And, like, I get people say in the media, well, it's corporate, it's like, it's overhyped, yada yada yada. I mean, I've only been to one. But, like, if I could go to that event for the rest of my life, I would go. Like, because it's just like, it is the ultimate spectacle in sports. And I think, so I'll tell you a funny story. So the first bus from our media hotel left at 12 or 1 o'clock. And I was on that first media bus. And we had this, like, the media buses had police escort surrounding the bus, like full on, like, motorcycle, the whole deal, surrounding a media bus. Like, this isn't like the players or anything, a media bus. So we get to the stadium, it's like airport security. Okay, when you think airport security, it's hell. That's what it was to get in. It was the most secure place you think you've ever been to. You felt like the safest you could possibly be was at the Super Bowl. So, the whole bag thing, yada yada yada. There's no greater feeling in the world, and I called you, if you can remember, from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, than stepping into the stadium, because it's like 4 hours before kickoff, and you're there. You are there. You see the field. You see the whole thing. It is just out of this world. And I think for any football fan, you got to go at least once in your life. Hopefully more than once. But I think like there's nothing that beats that feeling of being there for the first time and being like, wow, like, this is an event that I've watched since, the 2003, right? Like, on TV with my parents, and now I'm here. It's pretty remarkable. And one thing I'll say about the parties, your best friend is credentials. If you just flash that credential to a security guard, they're like, come on in. come on in, and then you can go to any party you want. So it's like, it's pretty awesome.
There we go. I'm guessing it was a close second behind our Leafs Capitals playoff.
That was definitely close. I mean, look, it was a close second because I think that series was so exciting. I mean, Leafs Capitals.
Yeah. You gave us a run that series, and I thought going in, because this was early day Leafs. This is like Matthews was either a rookie or a sophomore, and the Leafs, they were obviously talented, but they were so young. And the Capitals at that point, we were still on our plateau. Obviously, we won a cup a few years later, but I think the Caps have been at their kind of plateau for a while now, I would say. Unfortunately, window might be closing, but no worries there.
Well, I mean, the Leafs and the Caps right now, if we're standings, would be on a collision course for an Eastern Conference Final revenge match.
I know. It could be the revenge tour right there.
Yeah.
That would be a fun series to watch. Obviously, because I would say now the tables have turned, and I would say on paper the Leafs would have more firepower than the Caps. Dare I say it? I think the Caps would bring more experience. Obviously, Zdeno Chara, a huge pickup. And I would say we would be the grittier team heading in, which gives an advantage in playoff hockey where the refs usually like to keep their whistle in the pocket. I think it would be a lot of fun. And then considering the circumstance, maybe because a first round kind of upset of the Leafs really pushing Washington to their limits was fun, but I couldn't even imagine a 6 or 7 game series in the Eastern Conference Final. I think I might be one of the most hated man in Ontario for a couple of weeks there, but that's all right. I'd wear my Tom Wilson jersey with pride, and I would have a lot of fun watching those games. And you and I would definitely have to get together for that.
No doubt, man. No doubt. But speaking of a fun matchup, there's to go back, to go from the ice to the football field, which I think was the topic of this discussion. There's a little thing called the Super Bowl this weekend, Will. I don't know if you realize. We are talking about the Super Bowl. Sunday, they're believe it or not, the NFL made it. Super Bowl Sunday on time. I mean,
Zero canceled games.
Incredible. I mean, look, for all the hate that Commissioner Roger Goodell made, I mean, as we're recording this, his annual year-end press conference happened today. There was no one I think happier than Mr. Goodell at that point. I mean, he has a lot going forward in terms of a lot of different things to handle, but you got to be happy to get to this point, Super Bowl. But the crazy thing about it, Will, it'd be so 2020, thunderstorm is the forecast right now. Rain. Imagine that, eh?
Oh, no. And it's Tampa Bay, too, so that's an open-air stadium.
Open-air stadium. So it's it would be so 2020 if it gets, delayed, an hour or two or whatnot. Or they have to play in the rain.
Of course. Torrential downpour during the game. That would be too fitting. Too fitting to cap off the year.
What do you make of this matchup? I mean, we've had, it's funny this playoffs, we've had Brady Breeze. It was, not the best game. I mean, Brady Rodgers was a little bit better. But, the hype around Mahomes, Brady, people are comparing it LeBron taking on Michael Jordan, okay? We're young football followers. This is a pretty, special moment for the sport, potentially, if this game gets really close.
Yeah, no, and I 100% agree. And a lot of people are talking about Patrick Mahomes' legacy. Obviously, Tom Brady's cemented as, you hate to say it while they're still playing, but it's hard to argue against him being the greatest of all time at this point.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are looking at Mahomes, and I think a Super Bowl win with Brady right now, that puts his career on a very high trajectory. He is one D Ford offside away from making it to 3 Super Bowls in his first 3 seasons as a starting quarterback. If he were to win the first 2 he played in, and especially against the GOAT Tom Brady, it's all systems go at that point, and his career is looking great. And but if he were to lose this one, who knows? Like the Seahawks, we said they were looking like a dynasty there, and Mahomes is heading into a Seahawks-like situation right now. winning one Super Bowl, heading into another one with a great team, and it should be exciting to watch. But I think no one wants to win this Super Bowl more than Patrick Mahomes, because I think this really sets him a bar above. If he were to win a Super Bowl now, he would have more than Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, you name it. Pretty much any quarterback not named Tom Brady at this point. So, and just for him to get that 3 seasons in, it's remarkable, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch. The Chiefs obviously are always a fun team to watch. Half the time, I feel like they don't even turn their jets on until the fourth quarter, which is interesting. They certainly did that last year against the 49ers, where it was looking like the 49ers might have had them there, and then Bruce Arians
Kyle Shanahan.
Andy Reid. Those are the plays I saved for the second half of the fourth quarter, where somehow Tyreek Hill will find a way wide open, I'm sure, at some point in the game, which will have you scratching your head, but you can't guard him.
No.
I'm very excited to watch the game. There's a ton of storylines going on right now. I feel like there's a lot of respect between the teams this year, which is always nice to see, but I'm sure once the first snap goes off, that might not be the case.
Well, it's the best quote thus far of Super Bowl week was when Andy Reid was asked, like, so coach, do you have any, special plays? I mean, I know you're really aggressive, and like, great answer. No, we don't have any special plays. That is like complete bull. Like, that is honestly, like, is he just gonna like reveal his game plan? Like, come on, man. Like, come on. To ever ask that question, I mean, I have respect for the media, but like, come on, man. Like, that's, there's I feel like you can have some fun answering that question. There's no serious answers that are going to be given out of that point. But it's interesting, Will. It's interesting because you mentioned that 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl last year, and like, I was watching it last week, and Mahomes didn't play great for 3 quarters. I mean, he was like that, and I think that 49ers defense, that pass rush was ferocious. I mean, they had a great defense all of last year, but like, they sort of had a little bit of the blueprint earlier on in that game of how to attack Mahomes. And then they didn't go with that, and then like Mahomes has that heave down the field, and then like the whole trajectory of the game and the whole complexion of history changes. So like, I think the key here is how Shaq Barrett, JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, we remember him from Super Bowl 46 with the Giants. If they can get after Patrick Mahomes and keep this game close, if it's raining, I don't know. You don't want to give TB12. You don't want to give TB12 an opportunity late in the fourth quarter, because we've seen him before. 6 Super Bowls, 6 game-winning drives.
You're telling me. I definitely remember one of those steps in my mind right now. And I actually had a question for you going in.
Okay.
Sticking to football, but probably the biggest storyline outside of the Super Bowl itself. Funny, the legendary Colin Cowherd was mentioning, I might steal his line on it. It is a rare moment when you have a young, elite quarterback who seems to be hitting the market. And that's what we have now with Deshaun Watson. You almost never see it. I can't remember it personally. You might get some guys at the tail end of their career that are looking to move maybe to get a ring with one last team. But to get a guy that seems to be entering his prime at the quarterback position, who is also elite, it's an interesting scenario. I'm not asking you for your prediction, and I'm putting you on the spot here, so if you want to think about it, that's all right. But who would you like to see him go to? And you're not allowed to say the Carolina Panthers.
I completely understand why. That would, you could file a conflict of interest charge on that one. I honestly think the 49ers. And rest in peace. I'm sorry, that NFC West division, but my goodness. And with all due respect to Jimmy Garoppolo, if Deshaun Watson just like parachutes into that situation, they're, to me, the favorites to win the NFC next year. Even more than the Bucs. Even more than the Rams with Matt Stafford and that defense. If he goes to San Fran, like, I think that's like just a match made in heaven there. And when you think of like what that division could be. Just think, Will. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson. Like, that's just an explosion of quarterbacks right there in that division.
And not only quarterbacks, and I hate to see this as a Seahawks fan, you also have the Rams and 49ers defense, which I would say are two of the top 5 defenses in the league. Obviously, the 49ers had a down year this year. A ton of injuries, completely plagued from the start of the year with a ton of injuries. If they can come back healthy, and I would have argued the Rams were the top defense this year, them or the Steelers. So it would not be a fun division to play in. I think it would be a battle till week 17, but I think the team that comes out of it the most healthy with that home field advantage would eventually, as you mentioned, would be the favorite to win the NFC. But it's scary to think about. I'll ask myself the same question. Who would I like to see him go to? Obviously not the 49ers. That'd be my least favorite, I would have to say. I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
I think that would be a fun team to go to. They obviously had the remarkable start. I believe it was 11-0.
Yeah.
Before a bit of a crash and burn there at the end, but it would be a very interesting matchup where I feel like they are a team that is using that maybe elite quarterback away from really making that step to really give the Chiefs a run for the money in the AFC. Other than the Buffalo Bills, it doesn't really seem like anyone is really challenging them right now. And I think it'd be interesting seeing him throw up to Juju and then obviously the Canadian phenom Chase Claypool.
Oh my goodness. So, Abbotsford, British Columbia represent right there, Chase Claypool. So it's and in fun fact, for the second consecutive year in the Super Bowl, we have someone from Quebec, Anthony Auclair, one of the top pass blockers, tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you haven't catched Rob Gronkowski do a French imitation of Anthony Auclair, make sure to check out his highlights there at Media Day. Because, boy, one player to party with, can we just agree it's Rob Gronkowski? Like, what guy is this, like, energy personified? And, like it's just incredible.
Without a doubt, and with football not even close, sports, I would say J.R. Smith maybe up there.
Yeah.
You could give him a run for his money, get the Henny poured out, but Rob Gronkowski, and you could tell he was eyeing a comeback.
You know it, man. You know it.
He was doing a little talking there. He was on the panel, but he didn't really seem completely at ease with the decision yet. And all it took was for obviously Tom Brady to make the move to Tampa Bay, a bit of a different atmosphere. Obviously, the Boston sports as a whole, across sports, is just a high pressure environment. The demand to win year in, year out is unlike any other city. And then not to mention Bill Belichick running the show over there is very tough and tight.
Right there.
And it does a complete 180. They go to Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians, who I feel is a more of a lax coach, they're kind of having fun in Tampa Bay this year. Like Tom Brady and Gronk maybe having more fun than they've ever had before. So it's really fun to watch. And honestly, I know you may have predicted it the midseason, but I did not at all. I know they're a very hyped team coming into it, but it's been crazy to see. And I think it's an interesting layer to the Belichick and Brady debate. Who contributed more to that success? Because I thought in New England it was 50-50, but Tom Brady might have shown that he might have been the more valuable player of the duo there this year. So it's been interesting.
No, I agree with you. I mean, there's no doubt that Bill is a legendary coach. And look, the whole, we're on to Cincinnati, the scowl that he has on his face, the very rare smiles that he has. Like, just think of some of the games where he's won and just like the plays that he's just been able to make. Like the Super Bowl I was at, Super Bowl 53. Like, I don't think I've seen a better defensive coaching performance than what Bill Belichick did. It was a throwback to when he had Lawrence Taylor with the New York Giants. But I think that the way that New England does things, just in terms of access and media and whatnot, like you could just see Tom Brady just like every Zoom availability. He's just like having the time of his life, smiling, a lot more open about certain things. And I just think, like, look, it's so hard in the Zoom era of covering sports that you need those good quotes. And it's just good that for someone of Tom Brady's status to be able to, like, provide that. It's same with Patrick Mahomes, too. I mean, Patrick does a great job as well and being very insightful and whatnot. Before we get to our picks, Will, the Weeknd is performing. Another piece of great Canadian content. He was doing his little media availability today. He's the first Canadian to headline a halftime show. Shania Twain, believe it or not, was in a halftime show but did not headline it. But the Weeknd is the first one to do so. I know that you're not a big halftime show fan. Like you didn't even watch J-Lo and Shakira last year. How dare you? But just
it was on. It was on.
It was on. Okay. Just what are your thoughts? I mean, like what songs do you think? Like what do you think of that show?
Oh, and we talked about this. We talked about this for weeks leading up to this. This is the most exciting I've ever been for a halftime, bar none. It's not even close. It's only been cemented now by hearing that the Weeknd is putting, I believe it's millions of dollars of his own money on the line to really make it something special. Shout out to the Weeknd. Sounds like he's really planning something special for us all. Heading into this year, I like the halftime. I've obviously been excited for the Super Bowl, but the halftime shows haven't really piqued my interest. Maybe not my type of music, but I'm a big Weeknd fan, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him perform live, and especially the show he's about to put on. Obviously, the guy seems to have an infinite amount of hits. Each album he drops has about 4 or 5. It's going to be banger after banger. I already know going in, and I'm going to have my TV cranked, and I know a lot of my friends here sitting with me are going to be feeling the same way. And I think there's a lot of people looking forward to it, not only the Canadian factor. I mean, I'll even push that aside.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a very important moment for us as a country, but like just him as an artist, it will be so fun to watch, and I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity. And moving forward, I hope the Super Bowl kind of sticks in this lane. Maybe not going all the way to hip hop, but if you kind of stick in the R&B, maybe a little bit better than maybe what was previously chosen. But I'm very excited, to say the least.
I want to say this for the record, because in case it happens, like I want to just have this on the record. What if Drake just appeared with the Weeknd?
Okay, it's weird you said that, because I thought about that today.
Yeah.
So a bit of a coincidence there. I did think about that. Who knows? Like, we're in lockdown right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much to do. Like, I can imagine if anyone's having a good time right now, it's Drake. I'm sure he can find something. Maybe on some tropical island somewhere. But I like, if the opportunity presents itself, why not? A quick appearance, song or two. Obviously, early in their careers, they have a ton of songs.
Yeah.
That would blow me away to have Drake, who's arguably the greatest or most hyped artist right now, to come out as a feature in the Super Bowl. Like, that would be unheard of. Maybe that's where the $5 million and the extra dollars is coming in. Maybe the Weeknd needed to pad the pockets a little bit to get Drake to make the flight over.
Jeez, man. Like, that would, like, honestly, like, that would be, like, one of the best moments, like, in Super Bowl history. Like, I don't care. I mean, I know this is, like, we're showing the Canadian bias here, but, like, that would just be off the charts. Like, I don't even know if I could focus on the rest of the game. Like, imagine, like, that's your lead into, like, a second half, like, epic with Mahomes and Brady.
Imagine it is like a 17-14 game. Tampa Bay's up. Patrick Mahomes is getting the ball to start the second half. You have a halftime show like that. Players in the past have been known to walk out and sneak a little peek at the halftime show in the past. With very limited fans this year, I feel like that might be the year to do it.
Yep.
As a coach, I'm not sure if I'd want to be encouraging that. I think I'd want to be getting the X's and O's figured out, but I think that would be the ultimate segue into an exciting second half, and I'm very looking forward to the Super Bowl. It should be a great one.
All right, Will, it is that time. For the listeners, the viewers, prediction time, of course. Will and I right now are tied. This is the game to win it all. Will, you started with the Chiefs around 44 minutes ago. Do you stick with them? After this great conversation we've had, we've talked about a lot of different things.
Yeah, I don't know, like that talk about Tom Brady, Gronk, a lot of X factors, and I think the depth you have to give to Tampa Bay. I think they have more depth than Kansas City, but no, I think I'm going Kansas City all the way. I think their top tier talent is going to be near unstoppable to beat, as they have been for the last 2 years. Look at Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tampa Bay, good luck. That's all I got to say. I think it will be a close game. Tom Brady, there's no way he's getting blown out.
Yeah.
But I find it tough to see, even if Tampa Bay heads into the fourth quarter victory, like we mentioned, Andy Reid not pulling out a couple of plays there to ice the game in the fourth quarter. So I'm going with the Chiefs. And you know what? If we're throwing points out there, I'm going to say a one-score game. I'll say Chiefs by 5. So, yeah, how about you?
Whew. I mean, it's tough because the Chiefs were my preseason favorite, but the more I'm just thinking about, and you know me, Will, I like to think about narratives and storylines and all that. And look, Patrick Mahomes, like if he gets his second one already, like, boy, that trajectory is great. But remember, the Chiefs and the Bucs, they met earlier this year. Chiefs got a narrow victory. The Bucs made it interesting towards the end. I think it's going to come down to the defense. And I think we've seen in Super Bowls past where defenses really step up and play just out of their mind. Like I look at JPP have a big game, Shaq Barrett, Devin White, who's had a great postseason. And I'm just thinking, I think it's coming down to the final drive and Tom Brady's going to win this game. So
there we go with the upset pick.
The upset pick, you heard it here first. I got the Bucs beating the Chiefs in this one by, I'll say 3.
There we go. Well, I respect that 100%. As I spoiled earlier, I texted you right after the Chiefs beat the Bills, and I said I'm picking the Chiefs 100%.
It's a good pick, man. It's a really good pick.
Knowing that we were tied, you've stepped up to the plate. You've gone with the underdog, so nothing but respect from me. It should be a fun game to watch, and now some a little added competition on there because you and I we take these seriously, and
of course we do. No, of course. I mean, like, this is like, look, they're playing the Super Bowl in Tampa. I mean, this is our Super Bowl over Zoom. So, I mean, like, we gotta have some fun during these times. But, Will, it is that time, though. Thank you so much. He is the Weese Sports Intern. He's Will Stanton. I hope that this isn't the last time that you grace these Zoom channels to come on because it's always fun chopping it up with you on the Weesesports Chronicles podcast.
Thanks for having me on, boss. I really appreciate it. You're doing great work here. Keep the forward momentum going. And, I look forward to seeing you on TSN in years to come.